Hello, this is Melissa Bellinger reviewing the data overview for 4th grade at Abney Elementary in English Language Arts for ITEC7305 at KSU. This overview will also be presented and discussed with the 4th grade team at Abney Elementary to help support and improve our instruction. The purpose of this data overview is to examine the data on the Georgia milestones from the spring of 2015 through the spring of 2017. We will be looking at identifying student learning problems and instructional issues in order to improve instruction and improve scores so that we have more students achieving in the proficient and distinctive levels. We will also look at enrollment and absenteeism trends. And we will finally look at possible achievement gaps based on race, gender, and socioeconomic status. Some questions that we might have of the data overview are: what areas in ELA are strengths and weaknesses based on the data? Are there any achievement gaps noticed in the data? And what changes to instruction can be made to strengthen our weaknesses and close achievement gaps? As you can see, the enrollment at Abney Elementary is growing over the course of 3 years. However, enrollment in 4th grade is declining just ever so slightly. Our rationing for that is that young families are moving into the area and kindergarten and 1st grade levels have enrollment that has increased over time, and within the next few years 4th grade enrollment will increase as well. Abney Elementary is primarily Caucasian. Caucasian student enrollment has increased slightly, while minority student enrollment has remained the same over the last 3 years. 3 years ago, the male population was significantly higher than females. However, female student enrollment has significantly increased, and there are more females than males enrolled at Abney Elementary currently. At Abney Elementary, on average, we have approximately 34% of students that qualify as economically disadvantaged. The numbers have fluctuated slightly over the last 3 years, but have remained steady within 4%. On average, our student population is 78% general education, 12% special needs, 8% gifted, and 2% English language learners. These percentages remain consistent over the last 3 years. At Abney Elementary, on average, we have approximately 52% of students that are absent 6 or more days each year. Broken down further, we can see that the white students and Hispanic students make up the highest percentage of students absent 6 or more days. While white and African American students remain relatively consistent, Hispanic students' absenteeism is slowly declining, where multiracial students' absenteeism is rapidly increasing. Also, students that are economically disadvantaged have higher absenteeism rate than students that do not qualify. Economically disadvantaged absenteeism rates are slowly decreasing, while students that do not qualify for low SES are increasing in their absenteeism. The teachers at Abney Elementary have grown as our population has increased as well. In the 2014-2015 school year, there were 59 certified teachers and have grown to a staff of 65 teachers in the 2016-2017 school year. The amount of male teachers at Abney Elementary has increased slightly over the last 3 years, but the staff is still predominantly female at 93%. The amount of minority teachers at Abney Elementary has decreased slightly over the last 3 years, while the number of white teachers has increased. The teachers at Abney Elementary are very experienced. 11% have 21 to 30 years experience, 57% have 11 to 20 years experience, and 32% have less than 10 years experience. As we look at the Georgia milestones for Abney Elementary 4th grade students in English Language Arts, we can compare them to the district and state scores. It is extremely interesting to see that all 3 take relatively the same path when comparing students that are proficient and distinct on the ELA milestones. Abney comes in slightly higher than both the district average and the state. All three dip down slightly in 2015-2016 and then show growth for the 2016-2017 school year. This chart shows the breakdown of which achievement category fourth grade students are placing. As you can see, the green, which shows students achieving in the beginning category, goes down over the course of 3 years. This means we have reduced the number of students performing below level by almost half. The developing category increases some, which shows that beginning levels are decreasing and moving over to the developing category. The purple, which is the distinct category, shows that that category is showing growth. Overall, we can see that students are beginning to move up in categories and improve their scores. On this chart, you can see in the green columns, they are the percentage of students scoring in the proficient and distinctive range on the Georgia milestones as their score overall. Behind that is the percentage of students that scored a Lexile level of 840 or above in yellow. As you can see, there is a difference between the two, where the percentage of students scoring proficient and above with their Lexile is higher than the percentage of students scoring proficient and above on the ELA milestones as a whole. This shows there could be student learning problems or lack of instruction in writing and ELA. I was very pleased to see that over the last 3 years we have closed the achievement gap between races. As you can see, the Hispanic population started off slightly over 10% lower, and after 3 years the Black and Hispanic population both surpassed the percentage of white students that scored proficient and distinct. Over the course of 3 years, the gap between male and female has decreased. However, in year 2, 2015 to 2016, there was a widened gap. This may be an area to watch closely to make sure that this gap does not increase again. In this chart, this shows a major gap between the students that did not qualify for low socioeconomic status and those that are considered economically disadvantaged. While the gap did decrease by 7% over the course of 3 years, there is still a 23% gap between the two. This is an area we may need to look at and address. The strengths of fourth grade on the ELA milestones and student demographic data is that the percentage of students in proficient and distinct categories is increasing and our school is above the district and state level. Another strength is that we have been closing the achievement gap with gender and race. Some weaknesses of fourth grade is that there is a discrepancy between the Lexile level students are achieving and the overall milestone scores. Another is that the achievement gap between students that are economically disadvantaged and those that do not qualify for low socioeconomic status is closing, but there is still a big gap. And finally, over half of the students at Abney Elementary have 6 or more absences a year. The majority of these absences are white and Hispanic as well as economically disadvantaged. Some questions to consider is what strategies can we use to encourage students to be at school more and reduce attendance issues? How can we improve our writing and ELA instruction to increase our ELA scores and make writing achievement equal to reading comprehension? How can we use the strength of our Lexile level to improve the weaknesses in our writing and ELA? Also, what can we do to support our students that are economically disadvantaged to come to school, and what teaching strategies can we use to help them improve achievement to close this achievement gap? Next steps would be to discuss the questions from the previous slides and identify potential solutions amongst our grade level. Then we could seek out model schools for attendance, writing, and high-achieving students that are economically disadvantaged and discuss how they have overcome these weaknesses. Using the grade level discussions and the model school interviews, we can then come up with an action plan. We should seek out professional development in writing to support this instruction, and then determine how to assess and monitor instruction and student progress and achievement. Finally, we can discuss any additional questions or concerns that we may have. Thank you so much for listening to my data overview, and I hope we can come up with some good solutions to this problem.